Okay, folks, so welcome. Sunny day here, windy day here. So hopefully you can see me still. We're going to be spending a lot of the time in the early part of the class down on the ground. So hopefully that'll be easy to see. So we're using today the muscle release ball or your blanket as the alternative. And we're using the yoga sack or a book or rice as an alternative up to 5 kilograms maximum. Yeah. So find what you can. If you haven't got the weight, then or you don't want to use the weight because it's just really uncomfortable on the belly or around the rib cage, then just resting the arms from some of this work will kind of be sufficient. So yeah, do what feels the most comfortable. Obviously, if there's going to be a weight on you, there is going to be some maybe at least I call it kind of a strange feeling. So the weight on that we're going to be using on the diaphragm and around the belly, and the weight we're also going to have at the top of the thigh. That's obviously to certainly for the rib cage or the diaphragm area, it's to allow the opportunity for the diaphragm to strengthen more. So because there's going to be resistance, the work that we do with the ball or the blanket is ideally, this is simplistic, but there to try to create a little bit more release in the body, a little bit more space, a little bit more potential movement. Okay, and all that's good for posture and breathing. So lots of wins here. So let's get into this. So we're going to be in varying positions, but we're going to have, when we come down, you need to get your weight. So we're starting low for a while. So get your weight onto your belly and settle. And have the arms by the side of you, or if you like it as extra weight, soft weight on top of the rib cage. So I've got kind of the center of the rib cage is center. The center of the weight is halfway between the rib cage and the belly. So there's some weight on the belly, and the other half of the weight is on the rib cage. But yeah, I need to find somewhere that feels okay, and that you're aware that there's some resistance going to the diaphragm, to the breathing. So it's kind of like, okay, I've got to put more effort in. It's not a lot of effort, but you can feel that sense of resistance. So have the hands wherever they want, relax the feet and the legs. So while there's a little bit more work being done in the center, the idea is you're largely resting here. Okay. So see if you can count 10 in breaths and 10 out breaths. Ideally with the mouth closed. And just take your awareness to wherever the weight is if you're using a weight. So the idea is also that the weight allows the back of the rib cage to sink down a little bit more, which is not always the case. So that tends to mean that we might have a posture where the front of the rib cage flares out a little bit more and it doesn't kind of sit happily above the area around the pelvis, the pelvic area. Okay, so changing this a little bit. If you gently cross the legs, so I'm show you from this end, I'm just allowing the legs to fall out. My heels are quite away from the center of my body. If you can do that in a relaxed way, yeah, so if it feels really uncomfortable. So I'm really, you can cross at the ankles, or you just find a way that releases the knees and the knees down a little bit. So for some people, there'll be very little release, or the knees won't feel comfortable. If they don't feel comfortable, then the other option is to try, which we'll come back to maybe later, is the feet together, soles of the feet together. That's another option if that feels kind of, a nice sensation. So while we're working on creating weight here, we're also allowing a little bit more openness in the lower body here to release, again, through weight to some extent, the knees away from each other. So we get more extension, lengthening down the inside of the thighs, the adductors. Well, people quite tight. Okay, so you use the hands to bring the legs back together with the feet on the floor and the knees facing the ceiling for a moment. This is an option. So if you either go back to where we were before, but if you want to, you can extend one leg away and the other leg, the knee goes out to the side, so an external rotation as we were before. And you can try, you see what it's like to put the weight on the top of the thigh. So the top of the bag comes somewhere around the top of the hip crease, around the groin. Now, what I need to do is put some weight of the hands on the other side of the pelvis so I don't tip over. Yeah, I'm trying to restrain that. Now, if this feels too strong, then obviously gently pick the weight up and replace it back onto the area we were in before. So we're not going to stay here for long at all. Obviously, there's more work going on there to help the release through the sandbag or whatever the weight is on this thigh. So if you can do 3 more breaths here, do. Come out earlier if you need to. I'm just trying to create a little bit more of an opening, more around the base of the belly and the pelvic floor, and working a little bit more generally with opening the hips. Okay, gently collect the back. If it's something safe, lift the knee up through taking hold of the thigh, extend that leg away, just pause for a moment. Just check that that was okay with the lower back. It didn't create a strain. Because what can happen if, because the weight's there, there can be a hardening and a pulling on the lower back. So if that was strong and uncomfortable, clearly you need to leave that out on the second side because it could be the same sensation. Otherwise, second side. Okay, so for some people, it might, you chase the foot up farther off the way so you can get the hip to open. Again, on this opposite side. And so you don't want the knee really up towards the sky to do this. But so that means the more it's tight, the more you have to take the foot down the opposite leg. The more open you are, the higher you could keep the foot, so the feet. So I know some of you are very open. Yeah. So a couple of more breaths here. Okay, and then gently lift the bag back to the rib cage. Use the hand to get the leg safely back. Just pulling the groin too strongly. And just repeat what we did before. So the legs cross, or if you prefer the soles of feet together, you choose to get that opening in the lower body. But what you're trying to do if you get that opening is not compensate in the back. So this should help you keep the weight of the base of the rib cage down. So some of us are open only because we stick out at the front of the rib cage and create the arch in the lower back. So again, if you can hold this for a couple more minutes, it's a couple more breaths. It's just sufficient. Okay, and bringing the legs back up. Well, I need to move slightly down the mat. You might need to, because I want you to be able to take your arms over your head. So coming back to lying down, but this time the feet on the floor, knees and into the sky, bent knees. What we're going to do here is we're going to have the palms facing down with the arms by the side of the body. So obviously if you haven't got a weight and we're using the hands, this won't work at this stage. So sweeping one arm overhead, and if it'll touch the floor, let it touch the floor. So what you'll feel here if there's a weight on is an attempt for the front of the rib cage to lift. But hopefully there's some resistance to prevent that happening. Okay, let the arm swing back down. And then just rest for a moment. So take any tension out of the shoulders and the jaw, throat area. And do the second side. So if there's any tension in the shoulder and it just feels like this is not a good idea, then you just take your arm just up to the sky and bring it back down. Okay, so when you're ready, gently bring the arm back up and return it into position. Okay, so with this, same positioning, just see if you're happy to take both arms sweeping overhead. And you'll feel movement with the rib cage rising a little. You're just reducing that option with the weight maybe on the rib cage. Okay, and gently returning the arms back to base. Okay, so we're done with the weight. So get the weight off the body, out of the way somewhere. And we're going to come into position here to go into bridge. So that means the heels need to be reasonably close to the butt. When you're ready, as you sweep the arms over, lift the body off the floor. So lift the pelvis off the floor and feel that extension. So feel like you're pushing into the knees, feel the weight in the heels, so you can even raise the balls of the feet slightly so you get that work happening there. So we're lengthening the body, so really chasing the knees away from you. Keep the chin into the chest without overdoing that, but just try and keep the back of the neck long. Okay. So often we extend the arm, when we stand and extend the arms up. This is a sort of similar lengthening exercise, but from the ground. Okay, arms back, body back, well done. And just let the weight come down. Feel the breath, particularly around the rib cage. For a moment or two. Okay, then lengthening the arms just up to the sky and letting the knees go left and the arms go right and just move between the two. So we get a little bit now of a twist of rotation through the spine. You decide the speed of the movement. Just unwind a little bit and give a different sense of space for the diaphragm in the rib cage. Okay, so from here, let's bring the knees in, a mini roll on the lower back, circling in one direction and then in the other direction. And then we're going to come over to our side. We're going to need the ball or the blanket for that. Okay, so we're going to use the ball, I think, last time. So it's just going to be in a side. So it's kind of a little bit of it is touching the base of the rib cage, but it's really the softer part of the side of the body. And I'm coming down to rest. I've got my knees bent a little bit here. So most of you know kind of like the clam exercise. We'll just do a few of those first, where we separate the knees. Now, the thing about that one is you wanted to use your glute really rather than just picking up with your knee. So if you literally take your finger to the side of your bum, there's a bony bit and then there's some space. And then you lift the knee from that muscle there. So it's a reminder, could I take my attention by actually having the hand finger on the side to initiate the lift from this side? So we're just doing a few more of these clam exercises. Okay, and relax. Okay. So allow a little bit more weight to go into the blanket or the ball if you can. So remember, generally for this, there is some The ball isn't blown up to its full extent. Got a little bit of space for feedback here. Okay, so we're doing a different movement here. We're going to lift the lower leg up. So it's like the knees come together as the lower leg lifts. A bit like Charleston, I think. Not that I've done the Charleston dance, that either. Okay, so just that lift. That lift. So if it's comfortable to just rest the head down for a moment on the arm, if not, stay where you were. And then take the spare hand and take it behind the head to the ear. Now, as you lift the ankle, see if you can lift the head in this side line extension. Okay, and relax. Okay, so gently roll back to release yourself out of this, release the arm, and we'll come on to the side. We're a bit more even. So side support, legs bent, initially Roman style, and then get a little bit of a sense of the glute muscle, the side of the butt. Try and initiate that rise of the knee and the top leg through that muscle rather than moving it from the knee itself. I know it's difficult to make sense of that sometimes, but you're initiating it from this glute muscle if you can. Okay, so from there we move into the second movement. We extend the arm, we lie down, and we do this, bringing the knees close together as we raise the ankle away from the other ankle. Lower leg rises and falls. We feel the weight of the ball or the blanket against the body. Might breathe a little bit deeper. And then top arm helps us get that more pressure into the side and then release. More pressure into the side and then release. You can do this without a ball, by the way, or without a blanket underneath. And if it feels really awkward and uncomfortable, then obviously we don't have it to take it out. Okay, we're done here. So rolling back, bringing the arm with you, and we can get rid of the ball. So we're going to come onto all fours. Just moving hands and knees for a moment, almost like a cat that sort of doesn't settle or clawing away a little bit. So, and then find your happy tabletop position, and we'll do a few cat-cow. So we'll work on what's going on in the spine here as we move between positions, which changes the position of the rib cage and changes what's happening with the diaphragm. Up and down. Moving then into figure of eight. So bringing the legs together and finding your own way to draw that imaginary figure of eight with the nose or the navel to get into the side of the rib cage a little bit more. Try and relax into the breath if you can. So it's just a soft breath. See if you can relax into that. Then you go back the other direction. Excellent. And let's pause. So take the knees back into hip distance away. And Yeah, you choose whether you want your toes tucked under or untucked. It doesn't really matter. Take the hands slightly further forward, maybe a hand's distance, so you can take the bum back as if you're reaching towards the heels, but you don't quite get there. Head just slightly hovers back of the neck long, so you get that lengthening feeling. We'll feel the rib cage maybe on the thighs. Breathing a little bit more deeply here if you can. If it's uncomfortable, you need to raise your bum a bit higher, then do. So from here, coming up, forward, and into upward facing dog. So the pelvis comes forward, shoulder blades go back, the belly comes in, the legs and the glutes work a little bit, but not so much that it cuts into the lower back. So you might need to relax. Okay, push back, bum goes back, and we lengthen again. It'll be a soft lengthening rather than a really weighty pushing back lengthening if that feels better for the back. Yeah, so sometimes it's just too strong. Okay, come forward again. Pelvis comes down, shoulders go back. Might look up a little way, maybe a slight bend in the elbow. Belly will get some length, get length of the front body open through the chest. Gently pushing back, bum goes back. So this time, bring the forearms down more into a rounded back version of child, yeah. So the head comes down if it will. Your bum's still high in the air, that's fine. If you need to just turn over to bring your knees to your chest, if that's more comfortable, that's fine, because we're going to do a couple more of this movement. So the deeper you can breathe, I know it's restricted into the lower back, the more relief you'll get there. So after the next in-breath, use the out-breath to bring yourself up. Find your positioning again, so the hands need to come forward, short distance, take the bum back so you get the length. Come forward with the shoulders, lightly bend the elbows, shoulders go back, shoulder blades come together, sense of length through the front body. Push back, sit back a little bit. And come forward again. Chest up, look forward, press down, belly in, push back. Rest again into child's pose if you like, the version with the toes together and the knees out to the side. Try that, otherwise just keep to where you are or come onto your back. We will be going into standing, so if you really feel your back needs more TLC, definitely just roll onto your back and just bring your knees in gently. Little circles on your lower back or whatever's going to help that back relief. Okay, using the hands, bring yourself up. We're going to come up to standing. It's a strange idea, isn't it, after all that time down there? So we're going to just do some simple movements that we've been doing each week. So we'll be doing warrior, side angle, reverse warrior, and we'll do both versions of the side angle. So hopefully you'll remember. So coming to the front of your mat, yourself a little bit of a shake out, extend the arms just for a moment. So just get that sense I'm up and back up. I've kind of got that sensation. I know where my head is and where my feet are. And then stepping back, heel down. So into this warrior three pose with this front knee bent, a little bit of a sense of that knee heading more towards the little toe end and this hip coming around a little bit, so we've got safety in the center of the body. We take the arms up, that'll lift the rib cage slightly. We'll look forward over the front hand. We breathe in, we breathe out, and we come into side angle, the softer version. We look up towards the inside of the arm. We take an in breath. We get ourselves back into warrior, looking over the front. fingers of that arm. And then we go out breath and we do a reverse warrior again, looking at the armpit, inner arm. We breathe in, back to warrior. We breathe out, maybe extended version of this side angle, taking the hand down the shin to the ankle. Again, looking similar positioning, breathing in, coming back into warrior, breathing out into reverse. So we'll repeat that whole sequence. Breathing in for your warrior, breathing out for the simple version of side angle. Breathe in to help you get back into warrior. Breathe out for reverse. Breathe in for warrior 3. Breathe out for a slightly deeper version of side angle. Breathe in back to warrior. And we're just going to step back to the front of the mat. Okay. Have a jiggle. Loosen up. And then we'll do the other side. So, again, just lengthen for a moment. And relax the arms down. Step back on your second side. Get that heel down, front leg bent. Make sure the knee is broadly heading towards the little toe side. External rotation. Bad leg has got that internal rotation. Arms sweep up to shoulder level. Look to the middle finger of that front hand. Take a breath in. We breathe out, go into the simple side angle. We breathe in back to warrior 3. We breathe out into reverse. We breathe in back to warrior 3. We breathe out, maybe the more deeper version of side angle. And we'll come back to warrior 3. Simple version. Warrior 2. Side angle. Warrior 3. Reverse. 3. Deeper version. And finally in warrior 3. Sweep the legs forwards, come back to the front of your mat. Okay, folks, so we'll finish just with softly holding the sides of the rib cage and taking a few breaths. So we're reminding ourselves that we can work with the center of the body, with this potential powerhouse to release the breath and to realign the rib cage. And that's helping us breathe. That's helping us get better posture. It's helping us generally feel stronger. If we can release the breath that we might have been holding through tension, then that gives so much more ease in the body. So it is a real win-win as we work with the diaphragm. So hopefully you've got something out of this. Or you might just like some things, the way it feels in the body. So while we have a week off, you could repeat some of the things that you remember. You go back to some of the earlier classes. We'll take a break of 1 week and we'll be back. So I'll be in touch then. So taking the hands away, maybe a little bit of a twist, just to loosen up. Breath be free. And you're free to go. Not that you ever weren't. All right. Hopefully you could see in here. I think it was a little quieter this week. Sometimes when I'm doing the work on the diaphragm, I calm down and then I go quiet. So I hope you could hear. All right. See you again soon. Have a good one.